Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to another episode of Who Cares? And today we are going to talk about significant others. It's me, Charlene, and together I am with
Neil.
Okay. Yeah, so as I was saying, we're going to talk about the significant others in today's episode. So, first things first, what do you mean by significant others?
Significant others. So when a gambler gambles and they gamble beyond their normal expenditure, as in disposable income, and it affects maybe gambling the mortgage money away, it may affect gambling bill money away, money for going out at the weekend, then it interferes with the partner because obviously they might not be aware that this money's being spent, and when they find out, it's quite traumatic for them. Or a mother seeing their son or their daughter gambling, and they come to them with problems of finances and debts from credit cards. It can take away their heart because you want to see your child get on in life. Friends see the demeanour of a friend going down, and they're a bit depressed and lethargic with life, and it's not a great how could you expect, it's not conducive to a good friendship to see your friend suffering. Yeah.
Okay, so in layman's terms, when we say affected others, this is the people surrounding the gambler, may it be
Yes.
the parents, the children, the friends, the significant other husband,
Yeah.
the spouse.
Yeah.
So the people in close relationship with the gambler,
The gamblers community.
the gambler's community. Yeah. So say for example, right, if you're a gambler, so and you are in your recovery, what do you need from your significant people around you, from the affected others, to support you in your recovery?
First of all, the gambler themselves, if they wanted help, if they wanted help, because not every gambler wants help. So if the gambler wants help, what could a significant other do to support the gambler is what you're asking.
Yeah.
I suppose to sit down and work out debts is a good way, a good start. It can build a relationship from the foundations, work out exactly where they are in relation to how much money is owed out, payment plans, where they would have to go for professionals like step change. Then it would be good for the gambler to be open to any questions that the significant other had around their gambling, and to discuss it, keep it alive, not just a one-time looking at it and say, right, I've stopped and that's it. Look in the community to see what other help is there for both the gambler and the significant other.
Yeah, I get that. But let us not forget as well that for the significant others or the affected others, it's also difficult for them to gauge on where they have to be in the relationship, especially if the gambler is into the recovery period. And it might not be easy for them to jump into, the support system, because they might feel like not trusting anymore, and then it's so difficult.
It's very much like that, because the gambler themselves, when they say that's it, they've stopped. Well, they've stopped, and you can't see their intention. It's their intention to stop and not to gamble. The significant other or the family member or whoever it may be, then they only know about the previous history and the present, so they can project fear onto the future.
Exactly.
So they project fear that, is this going to happen again? Are you going to spend the mortgage money? Are we going to end up homeless? Are we going to feed the kids? Are we going to clothe? Is the rent going to get paid? What's going to happen? So there is a lot of trust and honesty and transparency. That's how I think it's good for the gambler to specifically say, don't be afraid to ask me questions. And maybe one of those questions would be, have you gambled today? On the the evidence that you slammed the door shut this morning,
Mm-hmm.
which is all behaviour.
Yeah.
You know, being late, on the phone, all this sort of kind of little behaviours that gambling brings, and it can, so to alleviate the confusion or the presumption from the significant other, they can ask the question freely, so as the gambler doesn't take up, why are you asking? What I've told you. So it cements the backbone of building the relationship. It doesn't cement it. It just builds the backbone for the relationship to come up again.
Yeah, it's just like a hard conversation, isn't it? But it's difficult, and then not everyone is capable of asking right questions and hard questions. And there are times like maybe the significant other or the family is tired and feeling all these frustrations of the gambler, not the gambler itself, but the action of the gambler. So it's kind of difficult in a sense. So with that, is there a help for those who are affected by gambling?
There is help for those that are affected by gambling, and there's help through Break Even. Break Even have counsellors, practitioners who will give a person 5 to 8 weeks and work with them. And sometimes it's just a basic thing of speaking to someone and not being judged.
Exactly. Yeah.
Speaking to someone and not being given advice. And speaking to someone who understands the issues and the problems that can be created that are not obvious. There's within Break Even as well. There's a group that's newly formulated, Wings,
Right.
Women in Recovery, or significant others in recovery, sort of thing, and they have a group, and these people have went through the same experience, and they can chat amongst themselves and come up with conclusions of how best to support the gambler, or how best to support themselves, or for them to take on new hobbies, or have a life.
Yeah, because I believe the affected others should also look after themselves, so they can look after the gambler who is dealing with all these things. So I think it's very important for the affected others to also have a guidelines on what should be done to the situation, because there are things like you think I'm doing this right, but it's not.
I think it can get very complicated when someone's living with a gambler who still gambles, who doesn't see it as a problem.
Right.
And
that makes sense.
The affected other does see it as a problem. And then or even like a parent to a child where maybe having to bail them out of debts. Do you really want to bail them out of debts, or if you don't bail them out of debts, you're going to leave them with all the pain of the debt and the drudgery that would bring, or do you bail them out and then they get more debt? So there's a lot of not obvious ways out, but obviously things that have to be looked at and maybe discussed, and maybe people have experienced it. What's the pros and the cons of doing it different things? And if I was working with someone, that's what I would do. I say, what's the pros of doing it that way? What's the cons of doing it that way? And then they're going to make an informed choice of the information that's to them, that they have at their disposal.
Is there a counseling session wherein the gambler is also the gambler had a counseling session together with a partner or together with a parent?
Yes, I've often done that with when I'm working with a problem gambler, and the significant other, the wife or the partner comes in for the last session,
right,
sort of type thing, and then like ask, how does this all fit in for you? What's your story? And then see how both can support each other moving forward. And what would you like to see in the relationship? Who's going to take charge of the money? You're going to have a joint account where you can be like accountable, sort of thing.
So like a family counseling.
It's very much a family counselling, but it's not. the thing is about gambling,
Mm.
and it comes from the heart. This really does come from the heart. Significant others, mothers, friends.
Mm-hmm.
When they find out someone's gambling, the very first time they find out somebody's gambling, from the heart they'll say, "Don't do it," because it's just a human way of coping with somebody who's got that type of problem, because it's a behaviour. So don't do the behaviour. If you need money, I would give you money, but don't gamble to get money. But it goes a bit deeper. It's not about the money. It can be an emotional outlet. But we've talked about that, about how it affects the gambler. But sometimes that's the two of them want the same thing. Say the partner wants the person to stop gambling, so they say stop gambling. The gambler wants to stop gambling, but they feel the compulsion to gamble, but they don't want all the problems that evolve from that gambling. And this significant other don't want all the problems that evolve from gambling. The two don't want the same thing.
Yeah, but they do in a different thing.
Yeah.
They cope up differently.
Yeah.
And I think the more you say don't do it, the more you will do it.
Well, yeah, it can get a bit frustrating, sort of type thing. You know.
Yeah, so with that, what is your final message to the gamblers and the affected others?
For the gamblers, if money's taken more than your wealth, if it's affecting your mental health, and if it's affecting the people round about you and your ambition in life, then seek help. For the significant others, be aware that look inside and see if you have issues, with the gambler. Is it trust? Because once that trust has been broken, you might find other things that broke the trust, and as that builds, you can grow apart. So if you want to have the relationship sustained and on a better keel, never mind an even keel of what it was, then it has to start with trust, and maybe speak to someone and getting stuff out. And it might not just be related to the gambling, but just cleanse yourself, having someone you can speak to who's not going to judge or make any demands from you, can really set you up for life, and have that part sort of kind of as a catalyst to enjoy life once again.
And if you have more questions about gambling and recovery and affected others, just click on the link below and just call. It's just a minute away. Just make your phone call. Yeah, and that's it. Thank you, Neil, for today.
Thank you.
And thank you, everyone. And please don't forget to like and subscribe. Bye.
Bye.